Hi, it's Jared Paratoy here. God, that sounds so weird right now, me saying that. This is a vlog. I usually don't make vlogs that much. But in this scenario of my life, I'm going to make vlogs more often. Today is January 25th, 2015. And I just got back from working at the gym for the 7th time.
I started this vlog
Every school day after school, I went to the gym, running a mile, man.
but I was ugly, I was unattractive.
It's not that much. What's up, guys? Jared here, and look where we are. We are right where we started almost 10, 11 weeks ago. Now, during the time from week 1 to week 11, a lot of things have changed. Week 1, I've had so much motivation coming in. You know, I stopped eating. I kind of did. I'm like, all right, I'll give myself half the portions of what I ate, and I'll run a mile a day. And hell, I did it. I ran a mile every day. I did what I could. Week 2, 3 happened. People are like, hey, dude, don't starve yourself. I'm like, all right, I'll limit myself. Week 4, week 5, I'll be the first one to say that I ate a lot more than I should have. I ate a lot more than I should have. Just thinking about it makes me sick. I'm not impressing anybody. This isn't for that. It's for my health. It's for my self-esteem. It's making it so every day I go into school, I'm not depressed anymore. This is being made so I feel better about myself. I want to get to a place where I won't die at the age of 55. I want to live longer than that, and I want children, and I want a happy family. I want a good career. I want college. I want to go somewhere in my life. I want to inspire people to lose weight, and I think that's what everybody who makes these kind of videos want to do. I love helping people. I love making videos, and I think this is something that might push me to it. I'm officially going to Plattsburgh for my college for freshman year. I put money towards it and everything, so it's all set. We're going to go in August, and that's going to be pretty fun. I'm hoping to join the news station as soon as I get there, as soon as possible. I want to get my name out there. I kind of want to show everybody that I'm confident in my voice, but to get to where I want to be fully, where I am not just hiding behind a camera making podcasts, I need to do something about my body. Since 11th fucking grade, I said to myself, I'm not gonna get this surgery because I want to do it myself. I want to be able to eat ice cream after I lose weight. But the problem is that my stomach will still be the same size, and I'll still be hungry, and I'll eat everything I fucking see. I'm full of emotions, and I want to cry so bad. I haven't had a good cry in a long time. But I'm there. I'm very close. It's so funny. The reason I started losing weight in the first place. And to be honest, it came around in a circle. But what I have to do now, from here on out, is to be myself,
keep working, and at some point be happy, because that's all I've ever wanted, is to be happy.
I'm no longer the guy that everyone's like, oh, I feel sorry for that guy. Now you feel happy and you feel excited for this person, you know, and I'm happy that I can now be that guy instead of crying on a camera talking about how crappy my life is. Because let's be honest, I could have done better.
Isolated in a room because of COVID, with no school and unable to see friends, 16-year-old Chloe Melton's eating disorder went from bad to dangerous.
Tonight, a worrying picture is emerging on the impact of the pandemic on our mental health. New research shows levels of anxiety and depression are up as cases rise.
During COVID, we've taken things to another level. Weight, for example, is something that many people struggle with. During COVID, fitness centers have been shut down, our activity may be decreasing, we may be working from home and not moving as much. In addition, our diet has changed.
I gained a lot of weight over the summer, and I'm not happy about it, and I need to change myself.
It's day whatever of continuing to be the best version of myself that I can be. I'm not going to get there, but I sure as hell, going to try. There were times over the summer where I thoughts in my head were like, what would happen if I was gone? Who would it affect truly? Because you can make a simple Facebook post and talk about you were a great person, but you look back on it, now that you're alive right now, how many people actually check up on you? It's very little. But once you're gone, people start to care. So I find that very interesting.
I hated the way that I looked. There's someone down the road I want to be, and someone down the road I want to meet, and that's my future self. I'm making it for myself. I remember how much you hated yourself, how much you really wanted to kill yourself, and how you thought no one would ever love you. And while when you watch this, you might still think that.
My name is Christy Mink. I'm the Assistant Director of Counseling here in the Student Health and Counseling Center. Prior to coming to SUNY Plattsburgh, I worked in community mental health, and I did that for about 15 years. And I was really looking for a change. And I thought, you know, one of the areas that I had never worked in was working with young adults. And I really wanted to try to expand my repertoire of skills, and so the opportunity to come to the campus presented itself, and that's how I came about working here. And I've been here ever since. In order to be a good therapist, I think we really have to be compassionate people. We have to be able to put ourselves in another person's shoes and really understand what it's like for that person to be experiencing what it is that they're experiencing. There are lots of different ways to deal with anxiety and depression, and some of those are really unique to each person, but I think there are also some generalities with regard to efficient coping strategies for managing anxiety and depression. Certainly we know that one of the best ways to manage both is exercise. Good stress management practices, making sure that we get really good sleep, making sure that we're eating healthy, having a really good support system are really key elements. Another key element is to change our thinking. So some of us don't necessarily think about our thinking, but our thinking oftentimes drives our behavior and our mood. So when we're working on anxiety and depression, sometimes it's really important to think about how are we thinking, and is our thinking contributing in any kind of way to anxiety and depression? And if so, how, and how might we challenge our thinking or change our thinking to help us manage anxiety and depression? We see lots and lots of students who are dealing with depression as a primary concern. So it's in the top 3 issues. So we're seeing lots of, and about in any given semester, 350 to 375 students a semester among all of the counselors who work here. So that's a fair number of students who are dealing with depression. And depression occurs along a spectrum. So someone can have mild symptoms of depression or very severe symptoms of depression. So it's quite common for us to see symptoms of depression among students. The majority of our students, they experience complex traumas. So complex traumas start in childhood, and what we commonly see are individuals with histories of childhood traumas of emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Bullying is very common among students that we see, and for numbers of our students, they've had multiple different types of trauma, which is why I use the word complex, because by the time someone has experienced different kinds of traumas, they compound with one another. But over time, the counselors here are seeing more and more students with trauma histories and complex trauma backgrounds. And much of that has to do with childhood trauma. Common symptoms of anxiety include feeling excessive feelings of anxiety. So all of us experience anxiety from time to time. Anxiety is not a bad feeling or a bad emotion. Anxiety is a signal that there's something wrong in the world or that there's some danger in the world. But when anxiety starts to become problematic, it means that we're experiencing it to an excessive degree, so more than 50% of the time, and we're having a hard time controlling that anxiety. In addition, there are some symptoms that also go along with those 2 symptoms, which include things like feeling a sense of being on edge all the time, feeling restless, feeling fatigue, having a hard time concentrating, feeling irritable, easily frustrated. Some people may have physical symptoms when they're anxious, so they may have a lot of muscle tension, sore back, sore neck, things of that nature. It's not uncommon for individuals with anxiety to have sleep disturbances or sleep problems, or to also have obsessive thinking. So their thinking becomes repetitive, and they have a hard time stopping thoughts, and thoughts keep going over and over and over in their mind, or their thoughts may be intrusive, where the thoughts come into the mind and they don't want those thoughts to be there. So those are the most common symptoms of anxiety. Common symptoms of depression include feeling that sense of depressed mood. And again, I would say the same caveat with depression. All of us feel depressed from time to time. And we're not talking about that, oh, I feel down and it lasts like maybe a day or two. What we're talking about when we're talking about something that rises to the level of seeing a counselor is something that's lasting for extended periods of time, weeks, months. So depressed mood that lasts for extended periods of time. People lose interest or pleasure in things that they typically enjoy doing, so they stop doing activities that were once enjoyable. They may have significant changes in appetite, so either eating a lot or not eating at all, which may result in either weight gain or weight loss. Thoughts of death are can be quite common for people who have symptoms of depression. Cognitive behavior therapy is one of the evidence-based practices for depression as well as anxiety. The connection between our thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior, and that is how cognitive behavior therapists work with individuals, is really looking at changing thought patterns to help drive changes in mood and changes in action. Dialectical behavior therapy is another. Mindfulness practice. Mindfulness means living in the moment, which can be very helpful for individuals with anxiety, because when we're anxious, we tend to project into the future or think very much about the past. So it can be very helpful to teach individuals how to stay present in the moment and live in the moment. Another type of treatment is called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. What does the individual client want to change? What are they committed to change? What are their goals? And what's their level of commitment to make changes toward those goals? Eating disorders actually include a cluster of different types, disruptions in feeding and or eating. So they include things which many people have heard of, things like anorexia, bulimia, but also include things that people might not be as familiar with, such as binge eating disorder, something called pica or pica, and avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. There have been tremendous impacts of COVID-19 on mental health. We are aware that individuals are extremely much more anxious as a result of COVID-19 and depressed. COVID-19 really took a sense of security and safety away from all of us. So when we think about what is anxiety, anxiety is that feeling that we aren't safe and that things are dangerous and that there's a threat in our world. Well, what was the pandemic if it wasn't like the biggest threat to our sense of safety? Individuals who had certain baseline levels of mental health conditions, what happened during COVID-19 is that those just rose to a higher level. So that also occurred. So we had individuals who maybe didn't have symptoms now do have symptoms, and individuals who had symptoms now have exacerbated symptoms during COVID-19. Since COVID-19 is what I should say. You know, I've been doing this for 17 years here on campus, and I would say that since the time that I started here, we have seen a tremendous growth in demand for client services, for student services. And I think that really says a lot about students and their commitment to their mental health, their belief that, you know, it is not negative to take care of your mental health. I do think that there's greater awareness about mental health and the importance of mental health among students than there was even 15 years ago. So I do think that that is true, that more over time we're seeing more and more students who are aware and are seeking services for themselves. And one of the things we can say in terms of statistics is that 1 in 4 individuals in their lifetime will suffer some type of mental health illness. When you can't see something, it makes it that much harder oftentimes to be able to talk about it, to be able to acknowledge it. One's mental health is impacted by obesity. So we have such body shaming in our culture that individuals who struggle with obesity are shamed to such an extent that it is impacting their mental health and well-being. We're talking about emotion and emotion driving behavior. So yes, that is a mental health connection. Therapy would help look at, okay, what are my triggers for that? What kinds of things can I do to work on those kinds of things, et cetera, et cetera. Many students have told me, I need to go back and clean my room because then I'll be able to get my work done. Right. Or then I'll be able to, whatever it is the goal is that they have for themselves. Yeah, lots of students tell me that.
Growing up, I always knew I was overweight. You know, whether the kids at school would tell me that, first of all, I already know I'm overweight. You don't have to tell me. That's something that we know at birth. When we have the memory and the capacity to listen with our own ears and to have memories, we know we're overweight. They don't have to tell us. So growing up, a lot of trauma with that. You know, you have those kids, and you know, when you're so young, you know, if someone doesn't look like you, they'll bash you for it. I didn't really care about my weight. Even though kids were picking on me and stuff, I didn't care about my weight until probably my junior year of high school. A specific moment in that time was, it's funny enough, I had a little crush on a girl in my class. But I remember telling her how I felt about her. And I remember her words to this day. And that's what started this entire journey of my weight loss. She said, Jared, although your personality is one of the best I've ever seen, looks matter to me, and you have none. As a overweight, like 16, 17-year-old kid, destroys any kind of confidence, any kind of mental self-worth, any self-esteem that I had was destroyed. It led to what is now a 5 to 6 year weight loss journey that still I haven't completed. In fact, at this moment right now, I'm heavier than I was when I first declared the start of a weight loss journey. When I tried losing weight, I did it because as a revenge. You know, someone says you're ugly, and you're like, I want to prove them wrong. Because that's something that, you know, humans like to do, is proving people wrong. You don't get a good job that you really want, they tell you you're not qualified. So you're going to become qualified because of that, because that's something humans do, is proving people wrong. Being told, basically, you are ugly, right to my face. And yeah, we were young, but that's still trauma, and it is still emotionally traumatizing to hear that to your face. I go through a lot of simple challenges that seem silly at first, but when you take a moment to take a step in my shoes, you understand that it could be troublesome. A simple example for me is, you know those chairs and the desks that have the chair and the desk combined so you can't push it outward? Well, imagine having 3 times the size of a stomach and trying to sit in it. I sit there and I'm almost forced to suck in my stomach. And that's painful, holding it for at least an hour. It hurts. That's a very simple thing that I have to go through every day. And that's not even talking about like endurance-wise either, because, you know, we can fix that. You know, you can get into shape, but there are certain things as of now, no matter what I do and what I try to do, I'm still gonna have struggle. Another big thing for me, finding something to wear. You know, it's the winter time right now. In cold weather, it's always hard to find something to wear because with shorts, they're elastic and they're stretchable. But with jeans, they don't stretch. So if you don't fit into your jeans, you have to get a new pair. You have to find one that fits you. And when you have big guy jeans, the legs on the bottom, they're big and they're wide and they look baggy. Eating, you would think that eating is something that we all love to do, but for people that are big like me, it becomes a struggle. Eating food and finding the foods that I can eat that will make me feel happy about myself, that's a challenge. A yo-yo diet is when you continuously gain weight and then lose the weight you gained. In high school, I was 300 and I guess in high school I was like 306. When I first ever started my weight loss journey, my junior year of high school, I was 306 pounds. I then would lose 10 pounds. When I first said I'm gonna lose weight, I lost 10 pounds. And then I'm like, I'm under 300, yippee-doo. And then I ended up gaining 20. So now I am, what, 315, 325? And then I decide to lose weight again because, again, my weight's still going up, so I lose another 20, but at the same time, I gain 30. So slowly but surely, as I'm losing the weight I want to lose, after the diet that I select, and after working out for a long period of time, I slowly gain back up. For example, right now, my lowest I've ever been at was 280. In the past 6 years, it was 280 pounds. You wouldn't know it by looking at pictures from my past, but I'm actually heavier than my heaviest weight right now. Yo-yoing is what I'm doing at the moment. I've lost a total of probably 150 pounds in my entire time of losing weight, but it's the idea of gaining your weight back that's a struggle, and keeping it off. Because a lot of people struggle with that, including myself. I'm happy where I am right now about the mental health discoveries I've made about myself recently. I think the one thing that's bringing me down the most is that I am heavier than I was at my heaviest point in my life. And it was way too late before I even noticed it. When I was at my heaviest, I could see it in my face. And this time, I can't see it in my face. I see it in my stomach and in my legs. And during the summertime, again, a guy who always only wears like elastic shorts and baggy shirts, I never realized how much weight I was gaining until winter time came and I tried putting on my pants and it wouldn't even button. As time continues in my life, right, you get put down, everyone gets put down. And it is your reaction to the action that really describes how you go on with life, right? What is your response to being put down? What is your response to, for me, gaining a bunch of weight back that I've lost? It's making content. Weirdly enough. When I first decided to lose weight, I took an iPhone 4S. I turned it vertical in vertical mode and recorded myself saying, I want to lose weight. And I was like 306 at the time, not knowing I would gain another 60 pounds. But at the time, I decided to put my life on the internet because I thought to myself, if I were to document myself and losing weight, that would put a target on my back to basically motivate me and also motivate other people to lose weight, because if I've gained this much weight in my life back and forth with this yo-yo, I know a lot of people have as well. Documenting all of the successes and all of the failures that have happened to me during this entire 6-year process of actually trying your best. And again, a lot of the times, you can try your best, but you don't succeed. And that's a lyric of a song that I can't remember. That's the motivation that I see. And I also look back at all the videos I made. I look back at the documentation I made for myself. I want to get back there, and I want to do it, and I know I can because of X, Y, and Z. For example, I'm going to therapy. I'm going to therapy every 2 weeks. I've been doing the things I like to do, because for a long time I stopped doing the things that I like to do. In 2020, right before the start of COVID in the United States, I was 280 pounds. I was at the lowest I've ever been since middle school. And at that point, I told myself, this is great. I'm happy with where I am right now. And then we got an email. I was in California at the time, and I got an email saying, go home. You're in school for the rest of the semester, or you're at home for the rest of the semester. And I'm like, heck yeah. But what I didn't know was the mental stress it would put on me. I have lost all of my weight from dieting and exercise, right? So the exercise portion for me is super important, and so is the diet, but exercise was huge for me. How did I lose weight with exercise? Going to the gym. And since COVID happened, the gym is now gone. I'm now left with the one thing that I have right now, and that's a diet. So I have the diet, but I have no way of exercise. And mentally, I couldn't tell myself that you can go for a walk outside. It was summertime, it was hot. I'm like, I like AC gym, I like that. There weren't many gyms close to me anyways, even if I wanted to with masks. That wasn't an option, it was only outside activities. So I'm like, I don't know how to lose weight that way. That's not me. I spend an hour of cardio and an hour of muscle training. So you take away the muscle training, I have no equipment. All I would have is an hour of cardio running outside in the hot weather. And to me, mentally, I didn't want to do that. And in doing so, in that damaging process, I ended up gaining 50 pounds over the summer. So it was from April 2020 all the way until August of 2020. I gained 50 pounds in one summer because all I had to me was diet. And since I'm like, oh, I'm just going to diet, I ended up doing more damage than I thought I was doing. For a long time, I was documenting my success and not documenting my failure. And gaining 50 pounds in one summer, I wouldn't want to put that online. I don't think anybody does. Why would you want to put a distressing, a depressing moment for you online for the world to see, just so people can call you a failure? And yeah, you have the people that say, you can do it, buddy, don't give up. Do they actually care? Will they remember? Do they know how I feel mentally? Physically? They don't. So I decided to basically leave everyone in the dark over my failure. And in gaining 50 pounds, and even now, to being at my heaviest weight, I still have people coming up to me asking if I've lost weight. I remember there's one person that came up to me that said, yo, Jared, you look amazing. And in my head, I'm like, I am 360 pounds. I am the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And mentally, what you just said to me is, I look like I've lost weight. It's the opposite of that. I've gained it. In, being at my lowest at 280, I'm now at 361. I haven't lost weight at all. I've gained it. And that's why I don't upload anymore to YouTube or any platform. Is because I don't want to show the world the mess that I created. Because I've always wanted to inspire people to lose weight. But this isn't inspiring. It's more of a demotivational thing. I was quiet on the internet for a very long time. So I later on got help I needed. I went to counseling. I ended up getting medicine for depression and anxiety. Obviously, hearing how I talked to my therapist, to my psychiatrist and whatnot, yeah, they said I was depressed. And I was also very anxious. I'm a very anxious person. I always think, how are people going to talk about me? How are they going to feel about me? So that really caused a lot of anxiety in my life. And even now, like, I'm still sad that I'm big. I'm still sad that I'm overweight. When I first gained weight in 2020, when I gained all that weight back, I wanted to lose the weight as quick as possible. So I wake up in the morning, right? And then I don't eat at all. Have nothing until 8 p.m., 7 p.m., and then I eat anything, right? So I'm like, oh, I've had no calories today, so I'm going to eat all this food, right? And even so, even though I still had 2,000 calories, I was still generally losing weight because you're putting all the calories in one big go. This is basically described as binge eating, where you're eating all this food at once. And I didn't think anything of it. But there were some times in the day where if I ate a lot of food, I feel like, whoa, that's not right. Why am I so full all of a sudden? How do I release the stress of feeling full? So I did something. It was the first time ever doing it, and it started a trend. I went to the bathroom, and I made myself throw up. So all the calories that I gained are now gone, so I ate nothing for the day. And for some reason, the relief of throwing up and no longer having the tightness in my stomach made me feel better. That was a one-day thing. And then it became like a once-a-week thing, right? If I overeat one day, I start doing it again. Then it became every other day. And doing so, yeah, I lost weight. And I got back to my normal weight before COVID. I would say around 295. But I knew it was unhealthy. And I opened up to my therapist. I opened up to my doctor about it eventually, and they're like, this isn't healthy. So I stopped my bulimia. And that's what it is. I thought it was just me relieving myself after I ate too much. So for the summer of 2021, I decided my goal is to stop making myself throw up. And in doing so, of course, no, I wasn't bulimic as much. I still do it from time to time, I'll be honest. I am now just binge eating with no repercussion afterward. The only repercussion there is the fat growing in my stomach. You know, my hips, my face, my arms, my legs, and everywhere. And the idea of finding a way to stop it is the hard part. The only way you can really tell yourself is mentally waking up and telling yourself you have a problem and getting the help you need. And it's really hard to get that help because sometimes you don't know you have a problem until it's very late into your problem. For me, yeah, I've gone very far. I'm now at my heaviest weight. What is my response to this issue? And that's how we're here right now. Yeah, I had a binge eating disorder for about a year, on and off, became rapid at one point. I slowed down. Binge eating is another story. I still struggle with it. I think a lot of overweight people do because sometimes you don't realize how much you really eat. Before I make myself throw up, I have what's called a binge eating episode, right? I wake up in the morning. I go down to the lunch area, any lunch area, and I'm hungry. And I say to myself, what do I want? Remember how they tell you in the grocery store to not go shopping when you're hungry? Well, it doubles when you go to college, right? So a bunch of food is available for you, and you're using invisible money because technically not until you're older you don't have to pay it back yet. So you have all this money you can spend on food. So in doing so, I'm hungry. I'm going to get this. So I get, 2 double cheeseburgers, 2 orders of fries, and then I'll grab a slice of pizza for dinner. And then I sit down, I watch my favorite, YouTube, Netflix, anime, whatever, and I start eating it. And then I keep eating it. And then I eat all my double cheeseburgers and french fries. And then I'm like, I could still eat. Yeah, my dinner that I saved over there, I'm going to eat that. And by the time I realize it, before the brain makes the connection to the stomach, you realize you are so full that there is this tightness in your stomach. And if you have made yourself throw up once, your brain does not forget that sensation you feel when you release yourself. So here I am sitting with a super full stomach, and I'm just like, I need to release it. I want to make myself feel better. And also mentally you make that connection that says, I'm going to lose calories by doing so. So all that food you just ate, go right to the bathroom and throw it up. And hey, you're no longer full. There's always room for dinner now. And that is what goes on in my head when I binge eat and when I have bulimia. There are multiple ways to relieve stress. And for a long time, I did it in such a negative way. Again, I would binge eat. I think a lot of people that are overweight tend to eat more when they're sad. Something that is horrible that I used to do is vape. In fact, I still do it. It's that dopamine connection that you get, that some people just want that little bit of satisfaction immediately. So that's why people start with nicotine addictions. That's how it all starts. You do it once, you get addicted to it. You eat sugar once, you get addicted to it. And that's what happened to me. I become addicted to food, and I've become addicted to nicotine. Not great for me. These are my main stress relievers I've done for a long time, but the healthier ways I've been trying to do it is doing things I love, whether that's playing Pokemon, whether that's playing video games, editing videos, or spending time watching YouTube. The problem with all these ways is that they're not exercise, and that's something I used to love to do. I used to love making videos of me going to the gym and whatnot, but I haven't done it, and that's not my outlet. I haven't been using that outlet, so I need to start doing that. I want to take a moment. Imagine you are obese, okay? And you are now going through a binge eating episode, whether you know it or not. you have a big tray of food and a worker notices it and will comment on it saying, wow, you got a big plate, or that's going to make you full, holy moly. Just hearing that while going through a binge eating episode, it stays in your head the entire time. So you're battling yourself mentally saying, should I really do this, but I want to eat? Should I really do this, but I really want to eat? That's a negative. And that's something that people don't realize what you're saying. Open your mouth and listen to the words that come out of your mouth before you're speaking to someone who is overweight and probably is going through something mentally. Another example is not knowing someone's overall health, right? Let's look at Tinder, for example. You're going to be swiping right on someone who is, let's say, 280 pounds. The first thing that comes to your mind is that person's overweight. But what if they were 380? What if they were 400 pounds before that? They've lost 120 pounds. But yet we still generalize people as being overweight. We still stereotype these people as they are big, they are fat, and therefore they are gross. Words that can be contributed with overweight people are fat, chubby, ugly, disgusting, physically sick. There's a reason obesity is now a disease. The words that can be said to us really affect us. I feel like I'm isolated for so many reasons. We have COVID, first of all. Can't go anywhere. Don't go there. You're gonna get sick. Okay, I'll stay in my room and eat. That's all I'll do. And that contributes to more depression and more anxiety and more making myself want to throw up and eat more. So I think a lot of factors are contributing to the isolation of America right now. First of all, COVID, obviously. The internet, you're always on your computer, you're always on your phones, you're isolating yourself. You know, back in the 1990s, 1980s, people would go to the playground, shoot some basketball hoops. What do we do now for fun? I hate to say this, but we play Fortnite, we play COD, we do all these things that are fun for us. In fact, I love playing video games, but I'm not getting exercise from it. I'm not becoming a healthier person, causing this isolation. All these guidelines that we have to follow have really, really isolated the world. In fact, I remember when COVID was happening and we had all these web classes, right? We can live in our dorm rooms, but we can't go to class. That's isolating ourselves in this little square box that we're in. And for people that are overweight, isolating somebody causes overeating. It causes stress. People need to realize that obviously there's nothing you can do about it, but at least if you're someone like me, understand what it can do to you. Understand where it can put you mentally. Getting in a better mental health state is so important if you want to lose weight. Because if you're in a negative health space, you're going to gain a lot of weight. Look at me, I was 280 pounds 2 years ago, and now I'm a pound heavier than my heaviest weight when I was a freshman. And I'm a 5th year in college right now. When I was, COVID, at the time COVID just started, right? And we're being isolated in our rooms, no gym, no nothing. And I realized, I'm starting to gain weight, and I come back to college. And I had this thought in my head, just a little tiny thought. I have focused my entire life on losing weight to then gain it all back. What is the point of life? To just get fat and die of heart disease? With COVID happening, there's not much I can do. Mentally, I thought that. Of course, there are solutions. But at that time, mentally, I didn't think there was a window to escape. I started having suicidal thoughts about thinking, why am I here? I'm just going to continue to eat my way until I die. It wasn't until a friend, one of my best friends from high school, talked to me about how they had a suicidal thought, an episode. And it wasn't until their friends and family told them how much they cared about them that I made that flip and said to myself, you're right. I can make that change. And no matter how heavy I may get, it'll never come down to suicide. Because it did once for me. And I thought about it, never planned it or anything, but I thought about it. And that's how much obesity can affect somebody. That's how much mental illness can affect somebody. More than your weight, mental health is more important than being obese. I can tell you 100%. Getting the help that I needed from therapy and getting the help I needed for medication helped me. I think a lot of people are too scared to take medication because they're like, oh, it's like the anti-vax thing, right? It's like, look at these vaccines have microchips. Yeah, no, they don't. Just take the medicine that's going to help you. It takes a long time for medicine to come into effect long term, but when you do, you're going to improve somewhat. So again, if you're on the edge of taking medicine to help you, do it. People that support me obviously have been the people that have been watching my weight loss journey since I was in high school. Those people have helped me a lot. That includes my family, my friends, my therapist, my doctor. All these people have been helping me for years. So I had to say a big thank you to all of you because technically you really did save my life at the lowest points. And yes, I may be the heaviest I've ever been, but mentally, I'm the most aware. When I first lost, I lost like 50 pounds in 2019 in the summer from doing the keto diet and a lot of exercise. For the first time, I was losing weight for someone that wasn't myself. And I was losing weight because I wanted to. And I was losing weight because I was in a good mental state. And so all these attempts of me trying to lose weight now have been me trying to lose weight with a bad mental health state. And now that I'm aware, and now that I'm in a better mental place, I feel like I can lose this weight now. I feel like a rock, a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. If you are in a place where you question your overall health, you ever say to yourself, is life worth living? It is. If you feel like you can't lose weight, you could, and you can. I'm not saying let's do this journey together, but there are people in this world like myself, and maybe like you, who have gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight. You know those people that post on Facebook after they've lost 100 pounds in a year? And it looks like they do it so easily. I've never had that happen to me. I've never lost all that weight and posted on Facebook and stayed that weight. I've lost weight so many times, gained weight so many times. If you're that kind of person, you can do it. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're bedborn. It doesn't matter if you are slightly overweight. If you want to accomplish something in this world, you can do it. Tell yourself you can do it. Wake up and tell yourself that you can do it, because you can. And anyone that is second guessing themselves, no longer do that. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you are beautiful for who you are, and you can do this because I believe in you, and so does everyone who cares about you. I think it's more important to be aware of mental illness. If you think something is happening to somebody, speak up about it. If you think someone is overeating and binge eating, say something before it's too late. Say something before someone like me gains back 80 to 100 pounds of weight they've lost in their life. Do something now. Say something now. Provide information to people now. What's the best thing we can do right now? That's just spreading mental health awareness. Obesity is 50% mental health, 45% diet, and 5% exercise. Everyone thinks diet's the most important. It's actually mental health. Because when you're mentally unhealthy, you look like me. You gain a lot of weight back that you lost because you weren't in a good mental health place. I gained a lot of weight over the past 2 years because I wasn't mentally right in the head. I'm sane. I can talk to anybody right now. But when it comes to myself being isolated and overeating, then making myself throw up, that's not sane. So that's what I would say is the most important thing. To spread awareness of a lot of mental illnesses. More so than anxiety and depression, but also binge eating, bulimia, anorexia, whatnot. I would say, since I'm speaking directly to this audience, I think I'm on the right track. I would hope to believe so. I would hate to look at myself 2 years from this and say, well, I've gained more weight. I hope not. I can never predict the future because you can never predict mental health. But I will say this, I have opened my eyes to something that is bigger than myself, literally, and I hope I can make the change. Eating disorders can happen to anybody. Depression can happen to anybody. And anxiety can happen to anybody. Just be aware of what's happening. I think I'm on the right track, but some people may not be. And that's why you better ask your friends, family, are you okay? Because they might not be. You never know what happens behind closed doors. I've made different YouTube videos throughout my weight loss journey that were at different points in my life, right? So I started at 306, gained weight, blabbled, gained weight, blabbled. Then at 356, I said to myself, I'm done with being fat. I wasn't, obviously not done, but I thought I was mentally. COVID happened, and then I'm like, whoop, straight right back up. You think you did keto, you think you did good, but you didn't, because you went right back up. And then you went down, and then you went up. Very dangerously, you went down, but you went down, and then you went back up. And now we are here, and I'm heavier than I was at the highest point of my weight loss journey. It's awesome. Really good. It's going to take a long time to lose it, but I'm here. I'm doing great, Harrison.